So we are live.
Nice.
No, we are not live. We're going to be recording this.
Well, it's live to us right now.
It's live to
yes.
us. Okay. All right. So, what are we going to talk about today?
We are going to do it on the moonwalker himself, Michael Jackson.
Michael Jackson.
Yes, Michael Jackson.
You know, I'm going through a bit of a Michael Jackson phase right
Yeah, that's my fault, isn't it?
now. No, it's not.
Yes, it is. I started saying all of these facts. You just gave a quick look, and then you immediately went into a whole nother thing.
Okay. Do you know how silly you would sound if any of my cousins or even my friend Alan, who I've grown up with all my life,
Yes.
if he were to listen to this, they'd go, "Oh, this boy is way beyond his, way off the mark here because his dad used to idolize Michael Jackson."
I know, but I swear I told you a few facts. You looked at the video after I told you facts about it, and you fell into another whole craze.
Okay.
I know you did that. Like I understand you've had, many times where you watch it, but shut up, because it's true. Okay, I know, because I understand that you have, known about his video, that you've watched it, and that you've seen it many times. Especially, I would know that because I'm going through it right now.
You're going through it right now.
Yes,
right?
I love him right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you going to stop loving him at some point, do you think?
I mean, you gotta fall out of something.
Sometimes you fall out of it.
Yeah.
That's what happened to Michael. That was one of the sad things of Michael Jackson, and I myself probably was a little bit guilty of this at some point.
Yeah.
In the we let him die out. So by the time Michael Jackson died in 2009, he was relatively unknown, and most of us, I know after he died, his legacy kind of grew again. He started picking up. But there was a time when a lot of fans abandoned him, and we went from being one of the most beloved faces in America or around the world, to one of the most hated, and to the point that you saw many people in popular culture making fun of him, ridiculing him, and making grifting. That's the word. Grifting means people making money off circumstances or whatever. But I remember Scary Movie 4, which is sort of a famous franchise parody movie series.
Yeah.
Its fourth one in the Scary Movie franchise. They were absolutely ridiculing Michael Jackson. It was very cruel, and you saw stars like Eminem, the hip hop star. He was picking on Michael Jackson, who was like probably his easiest target up until that point. So there was I'm not going to lie, a lot of us did abandon him at some point. But I remember watching the trial when he got arrested in the early 2000s or the mid 2000s, and then there was a whole trial, like an O.J. Simpson kind of. It was highly televised around the world. When that trial happened, I remember I was watching it, and I was sort of, at that point, I sort of little by started liking him, in the sense I started following him a bit more, what I mean? So it was, that's what I mean. So, you're going through a phase right now, maybe in another few months, as you keep growing older, you might sort of fall out of that phase. That's just how it is,
Yeah.
So I've lately, as you know, I've been watching a lot of Michael Jackson documentaries and videos, watching a lot of movies, and in fact, I think I made a few Facebook posts as well. I think there was one particular clip from his video Black or White. There's a scene in it where he's dancing with according to the film, it's an Indian or a South Asian woman who's actually she's a Sri Lankan who lives in I think in LA. So I never knew that growing up, to be honest. It was only recently that I found out. So I was reading her story, and how she got to dance with Michael Jackson in the video, and it's quite a remarkable story. So Yeah, so there's a lot to come.
You wanna share a little bit about that story?
Well, she's a minority Sri Lankan, a Tamil, in fact, who have, as you know, Sri Lanka had a civil war that went on for 27 years, and that was because of the whole the Sinhala Tamil, the issues that divided the country in the past. So I'm sure that she was part of the Sri Lankan diaspora who probably who left Sri Lanka at some point and went to America because they found the conditions in Sri Lanka not in favor at the time. So so she knew a lot about. I'm sure she and her family had their fair share of grievances. So the Black or White, the video is about trying to break barriers and trying to look at people as one race, the human race. So she had a fairly good fairly strong backstory coming, and she was I think she was a very I think she's a professor. She's very educated, and she was very involved in this type of activism. So I'm sure she had a bit of a reputation in that department. So that's probably how she managed to get an audition to do the video. And what's mind blowing about that video is that back in the day in the 90s when I watched that video, I used to think that Michael Jackson, he's just doing his cool thing. He's appearing with all these different groups and dancing, and that's just it. He's just dancing with them.
Yeah.
But it's far more complicated than that. Like the style of dancing she does, which is a South Asian style of dancing, it's very different to the type of pop music and the kind of art that Michael Jackson has grown up with and he's with their accustomed. So, in order to make her style of dancing synchronize with his in a way that it appears so incredibly cruel, it's not easy. It would have taken it takes only a genius like him can actually figure out how to do it in a way that it just appears so in such harmony, the way they do it. And I never thought about that growing up in the 90s. I just thought, that looks nice. But it's only recently that I watch it and go, hang on a second. I can't imagine the amount of, just the skill it would have taken to actually, dance with her in a way that it appears like they are both doing something that is in such great symbiosis, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. Yeah, I actually think that was quite cool about the video.
Yeah.
I thought that's on like compared to like music videos today. I thought that was sort of a high budget kind of music video to me. Like it felt like because if you've seen like Michael Jackson's The Moonwalker, like the weird movie thing, right?
Yeah.
The reason why Smooth Criminal was able to be shot with all those people and stuff was because it was for a movie. It was obviously a more high production. However you say the word, production. What I don't know.
High production value.
Yeah. Because it was filmed for a movie.
Yeah.
So, it obviously it would have had to been a more high production like movie, like, and with a music video in it. So I thought Black or White. I thought that was literally more high production than
it was very high production.
Yeah.
It also had a massive cast, including what's his name? Home Alone kid, Macaulay Culkin.
Yeah.
He was the main character in it, right? He was there right at the start, and he was there.
Yeah, I thought he looked like someone. I didn't know that actually.
He was the kid from Home Alone.
Yeah, I know.
Since you're into like horror movies, you should watch. There's a film called Good Son where he's in it, where he plays a very different role, where he plays he plays a bad kid,
right.
who wants to kill other kids type of thing. Yeah, it's a really spooky kind of movie. Yeah, so he's in it with Elijah Woods, Frodo from Lord of the Rings. That's I never forget that movie for some reason. Yeah. Anyway, keep going. So So yeah, of course they have very high production value. But and what's crazy about Michael Jackson videos is that you get all kinds of crazy computer special effects, and or like they throw their whole mind at music videos today. But Michael Jackson videos remarkably hold well today. Even today, when you watch it, it's like wow, that is just so cool. Sometimes it's almost depressing because when I see that, I feel like this is the type of cool. It's so cool that we just have to come to terms with the fact that we'll never see something that cool again. You know what I mean? Sometimes it's just the trend. Sometimes you hit the plateau, hit the hit the high point, climax, and then it never goes back. It'll never be that good again. So sometimes when I watch Michael Jackson videos like Remember the Time, that whole dance he does with the whole the dance inside the pyramid he does with all these other people, or even Smooth Criminal, those videos, they have such high production level and they look so incredibly mind-blowing, just the dance moves, and I just don't see that level of entertainment in music videos today, even with all the great graphics and great lighting and cinematography, and they can throw everything into there, all the resources they can throw, but they still don't seem to have the same type of, it doesn't touch me there, it just doesn't give me that wow factor the way a lot of Michael Jackson
videos do. Yeah. And I also thought, what do you think is better, Smooth Criminal, Remember the Time, or Black or White?
And look, they're all incredible in many ways, but Smooth Criminal is probably the most entertaining out of. I mean, Remember the Time is good, especially that part. But but that whole dance sequence that Michael Jackson does inside in there, that lasts for a couple of minutes, I think, in the whole video. But the thing about Smooth Criminal is, you see it throughout the video. It starts like that, and he goes from place to place to place to place, doing all the dancing, and then he has that, the silent moment, where they do like that. And,
I thought that part was a little bit weird.
That was a bit weird, but then suddenly it picks up from there, and he does the whole crazy dance moves, including the, he does he slants downwards, and then,
I don't think that was until after,
Yeah.
I also thought I actually think what you said is like very true there, because they also managed to get that kid to dance too.
Oh, how good was that kid, right?
I thought that he was just really good at doing it too, because like he managed to, I don't know what the move is called, but it's like no, it's basically like he was like kind of spinning. Yeah, I don't know what it was. I don't know the name of the move.
It's kind of a shuffle or something,
yeah, something like that. Yeah. I don't know how he managed to like lean like that too. I don't actually think he did that. It had to have been like wires or something.
Yeah, and the little girl, she turns around and sees her buddies dancing, and she goes, she shakes her head. No, not that she doesn't like it. She was like, "Oh, you guys are crazy," kind of, just. But that's I love the Smooth Criminal because it's so focused. You can see how focused Michael Jackson is, bringing fun and entertainment to the world, and he's focused on that. And I think that even the story, I mean, yeah, it's a lame movie, but in the story, in the story of the music video itself, there are all these bad guys just trying to kill him for for all petty reasons. And I think the whole message is that, you guys are fighting over all this petty nonsense, and why don't you just have some fun and just focus on entertaining people, or doing all these cool moves, and be the best at what you can be, sort of. That was kind of the message, and it was I would never get tired of watching Smooth Criminal video. I can watch it over and over and over again. Same with Black or White. I love especially now there's a digital remastered video on YouTube we can watch.
Yeah.
And it just looks incredibly clear. I think that's one of the unfortunate things with Michael Jackson videos.
You could do that with Smooth Criminal too. I thought. You're able to watch that in like 4K or something.
Yeah. I think that was. I think that is something that because there's a lot of music videos from that era that have very high quality, but for some reason I can't seem to find that many of Michael Jackson videos, even though they are very high in production values. Ironically, in terms of the resolution and stuff like that, they seem to be a little bit blurred by today's standards. Yeah. So
I'm pretty sure you can fix that now. You know, like
that's what
that's something like really videos, not remastered. Remasters, remaking the entire thing.
Okay.
But I saw you can actually do this now. You can there's a image quality thing on YouTube.
Okay.
And you know, if it's like old, like Michael Jackson Smooth Criminal, you might need to look up Smooth Criminal 4K. But you can actually, you know, I saw Smooth Criminal in 4K, and it sort of looked a lot better. Like, it didn't look too much better, but it looked better than the original, and I thought that's actually really cool. That's something really cool about the internet and shit. You know, you can watch such classic videos or I even think movies sometimes in like good quality, and you know, I kind of, when I saw that, I thought, wow, you know, Smooth Criminal, but a lot better. You know, I thought that was cool too. I actually haven't tried it with a lot of other music videos, like Remember the Time or anything. I might need to watch that. Okay, you know, I actually don't really even Smooth Criminal. I reckon the best part of it was the video. The song, yeah, it was alright, but the lyrics just wasn't that smart in the song. Like, most of it is just Annie, are you okay throughout the entire thing.
But that's the thing though, I think the whole idea of the song, it's very focused on one thing and one thing alone, is to give you this really upbeat feeling. You know, get you off your chair and start doing all these moves, so kind of appreciate and... You know, it's very fast-paced. The upbeat feeling, that vibe, that was the whole... It's not trying to be anything else. You know, it's not trying to give you some sort of a... I mean, it does give you a good message, but it's not trying to give you like this really complex message. It's just basically, just, you know, have fun doing cool stuff. That's just I think the message. Instead of wasting your time trying to, you know, be angry and you know, try to be vengeful or whatever. Just do cool stuff. You know, do good. You know, it has a positive feeling like that. So I think that's the message. It doesn't try to be anything else. I think that's the whole idea. I mean, a lot of his videos are like that when you think about it, though. But I think like lyrically, a lot of Michael Jackson videos, there are some good ones, but for the most part, they are quite simple.
I only felt that with Smooth Criminal. Like, literally every other song I listen to, they've got good lyrics. It's just, like, Smooth Criminal, yeah, it would be a good song to listen to, far better than, you know, anything I would think today. You know, I still think Michael Jackson today is a little bit underrated, you know, in some ways. But, you know, I see a lot of bands, like, today, referencing him, you know. I'm not gonna name any, but anything you like, I still see some moves from like Thriller being into some of the most famous songs of all time, and I just don't see people noticing that. So that's why I kind of think that he's a little bit overrated, because, you know,
overrated or underrated.
Whatever the hell, you know,
underrated.
Underrated. You know, I thought it was overrated.
Overrated means he's not as good as...
Oh, sorry.
So it's underrated.
Underrated, you know, where it's just not recognized, where he's just
it's not recognized as much as it should be.
Yeah, because, you know, I see a lot of like really famous songs today, and they've just been so, you know, inspired by him, and I can see all of it, and I'm like, okay, has anyone else noticed this? And nobody really has.
Yeah, I mean,
I saw a lot of like hit songs of 2020 or something, you know. Like, I honestly don't enjoy that. I mean, some of them I do, but I see a lot of them have a few dance scenes, and some of them would be like moves from like Thriller or like Smooth Criminal or something, and I'm like, wow, really? That's a cool reference.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure that even Justin Timberlake, a lot of his moves, I think he credits Michael Jackson.
Didn't they work on a song to like together?
Yeah, they did, right? That one where they go to a bar or something like that, and and they see this girl who's sort of under indentured servitude. She works for the thugs in the bar. Yeah, I remember that one. Yeah. So yeah, and another great thing about Michael Jackson that we were going to talk about is about some of the interviews we recently saw. So so I recently watched an interview where I think I think it was called Living with Michael Jackson. I'm not too sure. It's a documentary that Michael Jackson sort of entrusted this journalist to come and interview him, and I think that one of his biggest mistakes was trusting this journalist, because he came there and he backstabbed him in some ways, and he made him very uncomfortable. I think he was. I think a lot of journalists are like this. They don't actually. They try to go for these gotcha moments. They're trying to get you for. They're trying to capitalize on some circumstances to paint a sort of a picture that public perception. They're trying to convince the public into like they try to make you. They try to get the honor. They make you speak your mind, but then they take what you say. They take your honesty and they try to spin it in a way, because they know that they can misdirect the public or mislead the public into sticking to a certain type of a narrative. The public who wants to crucify a certain person, and a lot of people these days, they just seem to get a thrill out of just being this pitchfork mob who are trying to crucify you. They refuse to see the nuance of a situation. They just want to somehow or other take everything, whatever you say, and use it against you, and they try to paint a narrative. And it's all about narratives nowadays. And in fact, when I'm doing a podcast with my best friend, and we name the podcast Beyond Narratives, because we see this narrative and we are tired of it, and we want to sort of go beyond that to see the whole nuance of it. And this journalist sort of, in some ways, I'm not saying that he's entirely guilty of it. I think he does do a fairly good job in showing, a certain good qualities of Michael Jackson, but he also tries to, steer him into an area where to make him uncomfortable, and use his honest answers to sort of appeal to the people who wants to crucify him. So that's so. In this narrative, in this documentary, I saw there was this there was one area where they show him in Neverland, and where he's with his children, and they take a train ride, and everything is free, and a lot of the children are very they are very underprivileged. They got a hard life. Some of them battling cancer, stuff like that. And he's sort of in the train, and you can see that he's telling the children to sit down, don't stand up, but and he's just he's so maternal. That's the word I think I can use it, and it's just so sweet. Like and there's a section where children are ordering. I think it's like what do you call, like frozen. It's not frozen drinks. It's just like a cone, like ice cones or whatever, snow cones. Yeah, snow cones, and he will go and start acting like a kid as well. Like he's sort of competing with them to order snow cones with them. Like he's like like it kind of reminded me of Homer Simpson running to the ice cream man. Like and he's like pushing all the kids away, kind of to get fighting for his turn. That's kind of I thought, and I was watching that, and I was just sort of, I kind of it got me a bit emotional. I felt very sad because in many ways here we have this very beautiful person, and we kind of let the media and the world, the world was very cruel, and this cruel world sort of destroyed
his I felt he was very unlucky sometimes too.
Yeah, I mean. I think one of his Jackson 5's, one of his brothers said something. I mean, they are very religious people. They said that once people stop listening to him, like he would put the effort to sing these beautiful messages, and once people stop listening to him, he was taken away. that he had no reason to be there anymore, and that kind of stung me.
Yeah.
So
wait, that kind of didn't he have an appearance on The Simpsons, Michael Jackson? Oh.
Yes, he did.
Yeah.
And not as Michael Jackson. So he I think it was an episode where Homer goes to jail.
Yeah.
And he meets this guy who he introduces himself as Michael Jackson. But he looks nothing like Michael Jackson. He's just a big, bald guy, So in the film, I think he's like this crazy person who thinks that he's Michael Jackson.
Yeah.
But I think it's uncredited. In fact, in the end, when the episode ends, you don't even know it's Michael Jackson, if I'm not mistaken. But now we know that it was him. So So it was it's a very good episode, and in fact there's a scene in it where he comes. Homer invites him to, like, when Homer gets out of jail. He invites him to his house. In fact, and when he comes, people were excited to see Michael Jackson, and when they see this guy, like they all walk away. They think this is some kind of a loony guy character, and when he lives with the Simpsons, you can see a lot of his like his positivity touches a lot of the people, including Lisa. I think they sing a very famous song together. They go, "Lisa, it's your birthday, happy birthday, Lisa." That is actually, that's Michael Jackson. So singing with Lisa, that became a big hit. I think it's one of the most played clips on YouTube for Simpsons. Yeah, it's a sort of a sad and a strange type of episode, but I think a lot of people like to watch it today, and gives them the chills.
Yeah, I was looking at. I found completely off topic, but I found something out last night when I was just listening to his music. There were a lot of other songs meant to come out in his Bad album, like have you ever heard of his song "Loving You"? Michael Jackson's "Loving You."
No.
Okay, because that released in an album called Escape. And so it was actually meant to come out like on Bad. It ended up not coming out. I'm not sure when the actual song released, but the earliest version I could find the earliest finished version I could find was on Escape. Maybe it's on a different album, but it was actually meant to originally come out in Bad. And I saw there were a lot of songs he had that were only released a ways worth after. Like, I don't think "Loving You" came out until, YouTube was a thing.
Oh, okay, so it's quite late.
Yeah, almost like 20 years later or something. And there's actually one song he never finished that I actually feel like should be finished. There was a song he made called "Streetwalker." I thought that was really good. Like, I actually, it's still in demo, and it's never been finished before. But it's a little bit of a mess, the song, because it was never finished. And it was meant to come out Bad, but they never actually, he never finished it. And since they were remastering all of these older songs from him, I actually thought that they should have, put Streetwalker in there, and they didn't, even though it was a really good song. And apparently after he had died, and they were remastering some old songs that he didn't finish, they'd use the same clips of him singing from, like, the 80s and something. Like, let's take "Loving You" for an example. They still used the demo clip of him singing.
Yeah.
And they used it in the actual finished version of the song. I only found this out, like, yesterday. I thought that was sort of interesting because I haven't heard of anything like people using the same clips of him from his original songs into, like, remasters and stuff.
I see.
Yeah, you can't really hear it, but I can tell that it's him from Bad because I listened to the demo and I listened to the original, and they've cleaned it up a little bit and they've finished it for him after his death. And I'm like, hey, the demo kind of sounds really similar to the finished version. Is that the same clip? And so, I think they've done that with other songs in the album. I don't really listen to the songs in the album, but even Michael himself, when the Escape album was coming out, there was the deluxe version of the album. It actually has all of the original demos in it from Bad. I'm not saying that every song in there was from Bad. I'm just saying, I'm only using Loving You as an example because I actually really like that.
Once again, what year was this?
2014 was when Escape released.
Oh, so this is after he died.
Yeah, but they were meant to come out way before he died. Some of them in the 80s, in fact. So yeah, that was just something interesting. I'd never heard of that before. Maybe the information is out and I've only just seen it now, but I just thought that would be something cool to share. Because
I remember when after he died, they released because he was scheduled to release a concert, right? Or multiple concerts.
Yeah.
And they were rehearsing in England, so or United Kingdom. And they had a video, I think it's called This Is It, which is like a documentary movie.
Yeah.
That was released posthumously after he died, and I remember watching it, and he was definitely, he was rehearsing with all these young people who were given this great opportunity to perform in this comeback tour, and he was just so incredibly polite. You can see that in a lot of on many occasions, he was a little bit frustrated with his crew.
Yeah.
Because he wasn't
his crew sucked, honestly. Like, every time he'd go out live, there'd always be something wrong.
That's always the case, but he was a little bit frustrated working with this crew, in a sense. But you can see the way he expresses it. He's just so nice, like, I'm just not feeling it. He just says it in a typical Michael Jackson way, and but you can see that he's such a leader in getting them to sort of improve with him, and maybe I'm not too sure. I don't know all the drum about his crew, but I do know that back in the day, when in the 80s and 90s, he had such great chemistry with the bass guitarist, the really tall guy. He was very tall, and the girl with peroxide blonde hair, she used to be the lead guitarist.
Yeah.
And he always one of the best parts about his performances was when he does the shout out or when he does the tribute to his crew. He would stand next to the drummer or the guitarist, and they will do a little dance together. And you can see, like, he treats them so incredibly well, and you can see that they love him. You know what I mean? They love working with him because he treats them. He's just so incredibly, and that's also one of his weaknesses, that he is very trusting of people, and he's like a child. He wants to do everyone to be happy, and sometimes
sorry, you said dumb weaknesses, and I'm like, oh.
like most people who work with him, even his bodyguards. There was a video, I think, where 3 of his bodyguards, they talk about him, and you can see that sometimes they would go without being paid for a long time, but even then, without being paid for a while during certain struggles that Michael Jackson was having, even then they only had great things to say about him. Like they were like how much they loved the children, how much he was being exploited by people around him, including his family. Sometimes they'd be knocking on the door in the middle of the night, and all they want is money and favors. And a lot of them had a lot of demons and they were sort of exploiting Michael here. And Michael Jackson, being Michael Jackson, just always just wants everyone to be happy. Okay, take this money and he just wanted everyone around him to be happy. So, because he was very naive in many ways, incredibly naive.
Yeah.
He was. He just wanted to be like a child, and even when he invites children over to the Neverland, he just wants to spend the day acting like a child. You know what I mean? Just because
he had a monkey too. His monkey is still alive. He's living with other family right now.
Is he?
Yeah, Bubbles is still alive apparently.
Wow.
Yeah, he's had him like.
How do you know this stuff?
I don't know. I was watching a documentary on him. Man in the Mirror, I think the documentary is called. and they said that he'd owned a monkey when he had what was it, Neverland or something.
Yeah.
And I'm like, whatever happened to his monkey? I don't hear anything about it. I googled it, and apparently he's staying with apparently his monkey is staying with other family.
I remember watching a 60-minute episode where he gave that interview, and then one thing he talked about Neverland is that, you know, the cops came and raided Neverland, you know, he was arrested and stuff, and he said that Neverland is now a house, it's no longer a home, you know, he said that, and it stung me that, yeah, it is sad, definitely. I think it's also a great example of well, I mean, this is a story that we see time and time again. In fact, there is a political commentator I know, a journalist. His name is Chris Hedges.
Yeah.
And he does. I mean, I don't think he talks about Michael Jackson. I mean, it's not a very flattering speech, but he does cite Michael Jackson as an example of what happens when people get this much power, this much wealth, and then the companies, you know, the big corporations that want to make money, you know, he becomes like this. He becomes a cash cow. He becomes a so Michael Jackson made a lot of money, but there were companies that made more money, you know, from him.
Mm-hmm.
So all these corporations, big companies, they create celebrities like this, and they want them to be like this, you know, and then when they stop making money for them, you know, they just move to the next one, you know, like that. So Michael Jackson, in many ways, was a victim of that type of corporate culture as well, because your celebrities, you know, you become like a god status you achieve, and you have all this pressure, you have all this fame, and you have all this money, and you start becoming very weird, you know, like in Michael Jackson's case, he was very weird, right? I mean, he was sleeping in these oil tanks, oxygen, he had very eccentric lifestyles, as you know, just, and even the way he looks, I know he denies that he only got his nose changed, but I mean, I don't know, I find it hard to believe.
Yeah, if you look at like late like 90s footage of him and then early 2000s, you see that his eyebrows changed quite a bit. Like, you could tell that there was obviously more plastic surgery than what was, you know, than what was said. Yeah. Having
said that, we gotta talk about it. Bad introduction.
Yeah.
You know, you see those pillars, and you see suddenly jumps out of those pillars, and you see the new Michael Jackson. You know, Michael Jackson from Thriller is very different to the Michael Jackson who suddenly comes out behind from this post in Bad.
He actually didn't like,
but it looked awesome. You know, it was. I mean, the title of the song Bad is so fitting, you know, it's badass, and the dances, and
I thought that was probably one of the best dance.
Right?
I thought Bad was one of the best dance scenes he's ever filmed because of just,
and it's so cool, like the style, the outfit, you know, the black jacket and everything.
Everything that he was like wearing was
so cool, so cool. And you know, one thing I noticed...
It's not a bad song to listen to either.
It's an awesome song, but you know, I was watching the video last month, and I noticed something for the first time that I didn't know all this time, was that it had Wesley Snipes. He's like this really good actor. He's an African-American actor he's probably I'd say probably the best known African-American superhero in that era. When he came in Blade, he did a... Blade is like this vampire movie, very stylish vampire trilogy, in fact, where he's like a vampire slayer in it, you know? He's got this sword and everything. So Wesley Snipes, and he's a great fighter. He can do martial arts and stuff. In fact, Wesley Snipes is he used to be anime and A-list celebrity in America. And Bad was his first big project, if I'm not mistaken. He's like the major he's sort of like the villain in the video, like he's the one who comes, and he's like with his gang, and Michael Jackson suddenly like pops out, and Michael Jackson confronts him, So that's Wesley Snipes, and I was like, oh my god, that's Wesley Snipes. So like unbelievable, like only Michael Jackson. It's only in Michael Jackson videos you see this kind of
I thought his
heavyweight celebrity power. You know, like a lot of his videos have celebrities that I didn't even realize. So, for example, remember the time had Eddie Murphy, and even the maid, even the one who played the Queen. She's kind of a famous lady, and there's Magic Johnson, the basketball in it. You know, then. Well, the other videos where I saw famous people, of course, Macaulay Culkin from Black or White, but Slash, Guns N' Roses guitarist. I don't know, just different from a different era. You may not know this guy, but he used to be once upon a time called the greatest guitarist in the world.
Yeah.
He was extremely popular. He had a top hat and his face was covered with hair, and he used to play for a band called Guns N' Roses. He was in one of his videos called "Giving to Me," and then. And there are so many other videos. I mean, I can't think from the top of my head now, but doesn't come up. But Naomi Campbell. She's a black supermodel in the 90s from United Kingdom, which at the time, considering it's not like today, things were not that progressive back in the day. So it was a really big deal. She was like a supermodel. From United Kingdom, and she was in his video, I think, in the closet, in fact, and and what's crazy is that there are songs that I don't even know it's Michael Jackson that I sometimes listen to, and when I hear the tune, I just know, oh, I knew this song, I just didn't know it was the Jackson 5, or I just didn't know it was from one of Michael Jackson's early videos, like from the Off the Wall.
Oh yeah. I know what you're talking about.
Especially Jackson 5. I didn't know that they had so many hits. You know what I mean? Like, it's unbelievable. Yeah, just.
I heard there was actually a 2001 performance with Michael Jackson and the Jackson 5.
Yeah.
And for the first time in like 30 years, they'd performed some of the hits. I know that because he had finally remade "I Want You Back," which was his first hit ever. Like it was the first biggest big song. It was the first big song that he was in, and so he had remastered it, and he made it with his brothers. And he finally remade it in 2001.
Yeah.
Well, he didn't actually make it for an album or anything. He just did it live, but I still thought that was really cool, as he didn't really remaster any songs after he was done with the Jackson 5. Sometimes he would reappear with them, but I honestly don't think he performed with them.
Maybe I'm sure that family had a lot of demons, so...
Yeah, especially his father. That's the whole reason why he stopped talking to his family was because of his father alone.
I do know that even with these posthumous sort of documentaries where you see the Jackson 5 brothers being interviewed, I know they all say how much they miss Michael and love Michael and all that stuff, but some of that seems to be, I don't know, I just get the feeling it's a little bit fake, but I just feel like they're just doing it for the documentary, but there were other underlying issues that kept them, I felt like they were not as close as some of these Jackson 5 brothers want to pretend it to be. You know what I mean? Just I know he was very close to his sister Jeanette.
Yeah.
She herself is a big star. In fact, at one point she was probably, the world's biggest, in fact, female pop star. But I also know that she had another sister. I think it was Latoya. I'm not sure. They hated each other. And in fact, when there was child abuse allegations and all were coming, she would accuse him. She would be on the side of the people who she tried to destroy his name. So, but now she says that she was paid to do that. Today she says that. So she seems to be a bit of a grifter. So she goes with wherever there seems to be money. Now she feels that probably she can make more money being pro Michael Jackson than I don't know. I just don't trust her. You know what I mean? She just seems she's just one of those people. So that's this. Anything else you want to add before we?
I want to talk about the fedora he wore and the reason why he wore it. Obviously, it was kind of big when the news came out, but the reason why he wore the fedora was because of the bald spot on his head, which ultimately
did he actually have a bald spot?
Yeah, because let me explain what happened. So he was getting big in the 80s, right?
Yeah.
And so he was doing a sponsor for Pepsi, right? He was going to do a live performance, and he actually filmed two things. He was going to do a live performance, and he was going to do a commercial. I'm not sure. I think he shot the commercial first, and then he was going to do a live performance. And he was practicing for the live performance, and the sparks machine ended up breaking right as the live performance was going on, and his hair caught fire.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, everyone at the time thought he was gonna die or something.
Really?
Yeah, when they were carrying him out, everyone's like, Jackson's dead, and he ended up actually surviving, but unfortunately that would end up causing him death a few years later, because what would happen was he went in, and this was the first time he had taken painkillers, and how he died was he had a drug overdose with, painkillers was one of the main things he used, That was the only time he'd ever used painkillers.
Actually, no, when he got arrested,
yeah.
in 2003, those cops treated him bad, like the way they handcuffed him and all.
Yeah.
He said that they did it in a way that it almost snapped his shoulder.
Yeah.
And now he finds it hard to sleep the way properly and all because it just hurts there.
Yeah.
So I think all these things added up to why he was taking all these painkillers. On top of that, he was also taking sleep.
Yeah, but he also before then he also just had a huge addiction with painkillers.
Well, he did. I remember when those allegations of us coming out in the 90s.
Yeah.
He had that album Dangerous out, top of the world at the time.
Yeah.
And when all this everything started stumbling. So he was on a world tour, and I think he had issues getting into Dubai for a concert.
Yeah.
There because all the medication that he was carrying with him was not acceptable by the laws in that country. Because they are sort of they were a lot more conservative and they had strangers. So I think he was unable to get access to perform in Dubai, at least temporarily. I'm not too sure though. I remember at that time, I remember reading in this, he had issues getting into the country because of the type of medication he was using, prescription medication. It's just, it's a huge issue in countries like America because they have these big pharmaceutical companies that make trillions and billions of dollars with manufacturing medicine. So they want people to keep using. So so it's a very pilled up nation. A lot of people use a lot of painkillers, and it's very easy to get them in that country. So so Michael Jackson was probably not the only victim of it. There are a lot of people. Yeah. So but speaking of the bald, I find it very hard to believe that he had a bald spot because let's just say he had one. Okay, I can understand.
He did.
If I had a bald spot, it's gonna stay there. I'll just shave my head off and that's it. But for someone like Michael Jackson, who was a billionaire, I would say, or almost was, actors, for them, bald spot is nothing. They can, do hair drafting and all kinds of
I just don't think he wanted to lose the hair, that's all. I do know that there's footage of him, actually. The bald spot.
Yeah?
You can see it. And, he never cut his hair off, did he? No. You could see the footage of his hair setting on fire. Yeah. You could watch it right now if you want. You could see that I'm not lying.
Oh, wow.
And I don't know why, he just didn't want to lose the hair.
Yeah, so,
and that's why he wore a fedora. He, you know what a fedora is.
Yeah.
And so he would wear that, he would wear hats to show that he didn't want people to know that he had a bald spot. He just found it embarrassing, so he would just wear a hat to cover it.
Okay.
And he wore a hat everywhere.
I didn't know what a fedora was until I remember as a kid. I watched a Disney cartoon clip called Johnny Fedora and Alice Bluebonnet.
Yeah.
They're like these two hats who fall in love. And so the fedora is the man, and so.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I love some of the fedoras he wears. Especially the yellow one he wears. I think And the cream one he wears in the Smooth Criminal, right?
Yeah, what yellow one are you talking about?
Okay, you know what? I could be wrong. I think I'm confusing him with The Mask. You know the movie The Mask? He has a yellow fedora. Okay, so yeah, but he had some cool fedoras, right? Over the years. So yeah. Yeah, I think that was one of his trademark looks, if the fedora or some. I like to. I used to like. I hated him when he cut his hair, kind of. He straightened his hair and all in the 90s. You know, just kind of looked almost creepy. But I liked it when he had the, the curls and stuff, and he would have the microphone like the sticking out.
I don't even think he was able to do that anymore afterwards, but because he just wanted to grow his hair out, so it didn't look like he had a bald spot. So
What? You got a mental block?
I'm just alright. Anything random about him would do at this point.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know. I can't think.
You have so much to say about Michael Jackson there. I mean, you know everything about him, right?
But I don't know. I feel like we've said a lot.
Yeah, we did say a lot. And hey, I was watching the Thriller video the other day.
Yeah.
I was like, wow, even after all these years, it's still the best thing one of the best things you can ever see. You know what I mean? It's just like, and there's actually there's a parody of it's not a parody, believe it or not. Back in the 80s, this was done in I think 1983. So the Bollywood or the Indian movie industry, they would copy everything from the West. And they didn't do it to look stupid and funny. They actually did it to thinking that it's cool, and that's what makes it funny now. So there's a famous video called Indian Thriller where I mean, like this guy is. I mean, it's
the stupidest thing.
It's the opposite of cool, but now that we are living in an era where we watch this and we appreciate it for its stupidity. Like it's so bad, it's good kind of thing. So it's kind of become an internet sensation, and it's been an internet sensation since the early. I think since around 2007 onwards or whatever,
and you can't just let something like that pass by.
Oh God, yeah. I mean, I'm sure most people on YouTube have seen it, but if you haven't yet,
I wonder if there's like a different Japanese version because around the time, Japan would take like songs from like the US or something, or like America or whatever, anything English, and they would like make their own version in Japan. I'm
sure if there's a thriller parody in Japan, they would still have a Japanese guy with a black face, because in Japan these things are still quite out there. Like I know I recently watched a video of a Japanese guy in a talent show, and he was performing Louis Armstrong's "Wonderful World." Wonderful, and he's totally got the black face and everything, and he even does the Louis Armstrong impression, like some old black men would do, kind of, like the way they smile and everything. I was like, this is so wrong, I mean, if there's a thriller parody in Japan, I'm sure it's just a Japanese guy with a black face and everything. Yeah, so yeah.
I only thought that because I know that that Japan would do like take songs from like US or something and do that because I like Nintendo, right? I was wondering why they would they would make the Thriller thing because if you actually look at like Mario World or something, that was almost heavily based off of a song called Green Green, which is a huge thing in Japan right now.
Green.
Yeah, it's like
I only know green grass. Of course. No, not the same.
It's not. No, it's different.
Different.
And so when Koji Kondo, that was his name, when he was making the music for Mario, he had took because Green it was originally a song from US or something. I don't know. I'm not great with countries, and so it's a really old song. And after that, Japan would sometimes take these like songs and they put them on this like sort of program. I'm sure if if we do end up putting this episode out there, anyone Japanese will know what I'm talking about. But they put him on this program, and it would be in Japanese, remastering the songs. And that's how Green got big over there. And so when he was making the Mario World music, Green was already freaking huge in Japan, and it wasn't even Japanese originally. So, I just thought, if they had taken famous songs from the time, which they have, I would think that they would have taken famous songs from the 80s and put them in Japanese, because they had already done that with Indian music, right? So they would have had to do with Japanese. So I thought, okay, well, I thought that they may have done it with like Thriller or something, but probably not.
They probably have. You just have to look for it. Yeah. Just
the program that I was talking about with Green, the program I'm talking about, you actually can't even watch the footage anymore.
Yeah.
It's just lost, but that's what made the song famous.
Oh, right.
Unfortunately, you can't watch it anymore.
But
I just thought that there might be Japanese, like a different kind of version of Thriller out there, because,
sometimes it just makes me sad. Sometimes I see suddenly images of Michael Jackson from early days, when from the 80s, when he's still, he hasn't changed his look at all, as his natural look, and this is like this beautiful boy, like very young, handsome young guy, and suddenly then you go to around 2000, up until his death, you can see he's so pale, and he just doesn't look natural. He's still beautiful, and he's so he's beautiful in the sense he's so polite and nice. You know what I mean? And he's so innocent in many ways. And he hasn't lost that, but he doesn't have the same type of energy or the vibrance or the the great look about him. And the first thing that comes to my mind is especially in Buddhism, there's a thing called Buddha said before he died was all things are impermanent. There's always restrictions, and that's just a classic. That's just like the first thing that comes in. Nothing lasts forever, and that's life, So one day you are the most loved. You're on top of the world. You're like that, and then the world forgets you to some point, or they destroy you in some ways, and. In a way, I'm glad that Michael Jackson is not around today, to be honest. I am. And let me tell you why. It has a lot to do with politics. I see a lot of people that I loved back in the day. They are now, I don't know, something happened, especially after Donald Trump got elected in 2016. It became, this politics became so divisive. And celebrities are starting to come out and say all kinds of crazy things,
I get it.
And I'm like, you know what? I'm just glad that Michael Jackson isn't around, because he would probably do the same, and
I sort of I agree with you and disagree with you at the same time, because he'd already sort of went through that, after 2003, and people were much weirder then than they are now. So I'm just thinking, maybe since he's already gone through that, I don't think that he would just say that shit. But it also sounds like he might do that too.
Yeah, he might, because at the end of the day,
what do you think he'd be like now? Honestly, what do you think he'd be doing now?
Donald Trump's bad. Yeah, Donald Trump is his friend, man. Yeah, vote Democrat. Yeah, that's the thing. That's why I mean that it's for a lot of the ways. I find that celebrities, I can't even watch an award show anymore. Back in the day, I used to love watching. When I see a picture from the 1960s or whatever of Julie Andrews and Audrey Hepburn with Julie Andrews holding their Oscar, from Sound of Music and Mary Poppins and all.
Yeah.
It gives me this emotion. I was like, wow, that's beautiful. That's so cool. That's so glamorous. But today, I see when I can't even watch an award show. I see actors coming on stage and they start crying about something that happened because of Donald Trump. It's just all all just politics, and we are getting advice, political advice from people who are not qualified to give us that type of advice. You know, their role is quite simple. I know there's a comedian, British comedian Ricky Gervais. He came on a watch show called, I think it's called the Golden Globes a few years back. He told you, your job is simple. Just get up there, thank your manager, thank your director, thank your film production company, and get that award and get up. That's it, you know. You're in no position to tell anyone. You're in no position to give political advice. You know, we don't want to hear about what's happening in Iran or Iraq or about South America or the border or anything from you. You know, like you guys are too drugged up and coked up to give us that advice. You know, so he really went off at it, and I was like, that was the only time in the recent past that I can remember I enjoyed an award show. Just that clip, you know, of him telling all the actors off, you know. But I feel that if Michael Jackson was alive, in some ways he would probably be participating in that same thing because
like when he's I just oh my god, and now I can't get this image out of my head of him saying that.
Yeah, wait.
It's just white Michael Jackson like Donald Trump's bad.
Yeah. But that's the thing that I hear because you see they say whatever that is trendy. Celebrities, that's what they do. They say whatever that they need to make sure that they keep getting their money. You know, and like I recently saw a wrestler that I used to kind of I don't know, some quasi admire. John Cena. He came on social media, Instagram or something, and he spoke in Chinese, like Mandarin, to apologize for something he said that might have offended Chinese before, because he has a movie coming out in China, and you know he's got millions of dollars, so he will, you know, totally go and kiss their butt. You know, like, but this is just what the celebrities do these days. You know, they totally pander to wherever the markets are. So unfortunately, I don't think Michael Jackson would have been immune from the Michael Jackson, especially he just wanted everyone to be happy. He wants to avoid controversy as much as he could. So yeah, he'd probably be on that train. So in that way, I'm just glad that he's not there, because it kind of ruins it for me. I mean, Arnold Schwarzenegger is the same. I love him. You know how much I love him. You know, I can't get enough of Predator, but God, you know, when he starts talking about politics, and I was like, just shut up, you know.
You've said that many times. Yeah. You get pissed off, like everyone. Literally, like everyone that you've heard the name of before, you're like, okay, this shit, like,
yeah, that's why I try to if you want to, yeah.
God damn, I just can't get the image out of my head. He's just like, he's standing at the front of like everyone, right? Like all of his fans and stuff, and I just imagine him saying
Trump's
that. He just makes a song about it and just like dances to it. Yeah.
Donald, you're not okay. Not okay. Okay. All right. I think that's it. Anything else? Spotlight's on you. Last final words? No, nothing.
No, I mean, I would like. I don't want to have this go on. I've obviously thought of what I could say next, but I think we should just end it here.
Yeah, because laptop might be running out of battery. Imagine we've been recording it all this time, and imagine the laptop runs out of power and everything you recorded is lost, you know?
Yeah, I don't want to drag on, so I think we should just end it here.
Alright, well, I know it's been a while since we shot a podcast, but
please don't upload it on my thing, because you made a specific channel for this, and you
retro gaming, right?
Yes.
You want it on retro gaming,
yes,
right?
not mine.
Not yours. Okay, no worries. Okay. Alright. That's fine. So everyone, be safe. I hope you stay safe and well. And you know, right now we here in Melbourne, we just came out of a lockdown, so you know, I'm sending you all some positive vibes. Take care, everyone. Good night.